thing is they have an excellent record in group stage to kind of back them up as well. Puppy Fresh has been so consistent. Naga has been lights out. They've got Colsty now playing for them as well as Crims. You know, went his separate ways, went off into a different direction, but definitely looking forward to seeing him in the future. But now, starting things off, Eagle Gaming looking to get amazed with that similar performance that we saw in First Point Hollywood and kind of overtime play here on this First Point. And Eagle Gaming, I wouldn't be surprised to see Eagle Gaming do really well here, but they're up against a very strong team, and Puppy Fresh is known to really kind of make the most of these kind of situations.
Especially with Naga in the skies now, still trying to do a lot of damage on this lineup. However, we'll see Flippy try and contest him with the likes of Leaf now on the Diva, and Puppy Fresh over onto the point is going to split their attention for now, but Flippy is going to be able to pick up the first kill of this round, and as a result, make it a 6v5. And this should be the rest of Piece of Cake regrouping.
This is what a 12-man roster can do. It can hide some of these players like Flippy who are just absolutely fantastic. And it's hard to kind of gauge when you prep for a team like this. You just can't account for everything. Chubb's coming through, though. That's going to be followed up by Naga. He comes with a massive barrage, taking Leaf out of mech. They're going to be able to take this. It's still contested, and they should be able to start capping now, and there it is. They will be able to take this point, but this should be an opportunity for Eagle Gaming to go ahead and re-engage around the time that they get to the archway, because everybody should be on that short spawn, and that is going to be the case, and they'll have a lot of ultimates to get involved with going forward. And Dritro is still on this Mercy, and remember, that is going to be in effect whenever they want to play Naga on this this Pharah here.
And we'll see the rest of Eagle Gaming now pushing far forward, looking to contest them. We'll not find too much success for now, but we'll see. Get Amazed ready to go with that Graviton. So many resources being built up where Eagle Gaming could definitely mean another team fight win here on the streets phase as we move forward. And with the Graviton, gets actually eaten from Eagle Gaming there, but Flippy gets one kill off of the Deadeye. Marine Lord coming in with Transcendence should keep his team safe, and now Dredger going in for the res. Self-destruct gonna come through, can he get it fine, and he kills Leaf. Does get one kill onto Naga. And just like that, we might see Eagle Gaming still holding out strong, but the Earth Shatter coming out of Chubbs is going to find multiple kills for his team, and Marine Lord picking up a few alongside Puppy Fresh, still popping off on that Tracer. Means that we'll see Piece of Cake still pulling through in the end.
Colsey with his second Graviton Surge that has now been eaten up by a Diva. Unlucky, perhaps, but also unwarranted ult timing. But here we're going to see them re-engaging, getting aggressive, speed boost coming out. They're looking now. Dredro going to be popping that Valk early on, trying to get some healing out. If they need the reses, he'll have them, but it's going to be a lot more dangerous. So you can't just dive in and get that instant res, because that's just not how this Mercy works anymore. They're going to back up despite using the Valkyrie. They're going to be forced to pull away from this one. Colsty is coming away, though, fortunately, with a Graviton, and they might be able to keep his energy pool with it. They do, but this time they're going to look to try to get this Graviton down without it being gobbled up by a defense matrix.
And Marine Lord even finding Flippy there somehow. The last engage will be going for the Graviton. It does find those targets, but is it going to be followed up? It seems like Chubbs does get Super Pluke, and that could open up big things the rest of his team as Marine Lord does get to go with the Transcendence. Could be used aggressively. Self-destruct used by Leaf, however. It is a 1-for-1. Naga did go down. Flippy gets Puppy Fresh off of the Deadeye, and Transcendence will be pulled out just to keep everyone safe through that Graviton, and Chubbs looking to push them away. Get Amazed in the end as Super Pluke will come back from respawn, look to contest that Reinhardt via Reinhardt, and it does have that Earth Shatter. So once the shield's down, we might see him pull out, but you will get a kill off of the Fire Strike. Colas is coming through as well. Should push the rest of Piece of Cake back for now.
They're going to try to find these late kills if they can, going over towards this Zarya. And
look at Naga.
Oh, is he going to be able to get it? He snuck it! He actually snuck it! They didn't see him at all, and they actually somehow snuck it. Colsty drawing a lot of that attention back away from the objective, and they sneak it. That was incredibly clever by Naga to just go for that. I mean, the gall on this guy, it's that's not the first time we've seen a sneak, but there we go. We see that Graviton coming out once again from Colsty. They're looking to go ahead and re-engage off of this one. Flippy with a massive Deadeye inside of it. They just couldn't engage on that at all. And Super Fluke with a huge opportunity now. Earthshatter at the ready. They're going to back them off. He won't even need it, though. Hype, of course, going to back it up with a Coalescence, keep everybody topped up. They're going to back away with this. Still holding on to that Earthshatter.
And then we'll see Leaf good to go with the self-destruct to follow it up potentially. Could just use it for a resuit or just to push the opposition in somewhat of a tough spot where Super Fluke could potentially get a bigger Earth Shatter. So we will be curious to see whether he's going to go for it. But Naga already being charged up, but the Riptide gets instantly taken down as Flippy now in this Foundry phase will be looking to get into position with that Widowmaker self-destruct. Doesn't find anything and no real space created either as Poppy Fresh managing to find Leaf in that window of opportunity, and it is a 6v5 as Colsey's going to be able to pick up a kill. That's a big Earth Shatter coming out of Chubbs, and just like that, Piece of Cake continue to run through this point.
We saw before how Chubbs, he really likes to play this Reinhardt. He played it even when it wasn't the best pick, and now as it is, a really solid pick, especially on a map like this on Kings Row. Even before, this has really worked out for them. That's an early projected barrier coming out onto Super Fluke. They're going to grab it right now, and it looks like they're all stuck in this, but Chubbs has a little bit of backup. Colsey going to apply that barrier to him, keep them alive inside the Graviton. Now they're looking to re-engage. They had both support ults already applied. Super Fluke going to get saved for now. Barrier low for Chubbs as Flippy is looking to take that down, find a kill. That's going to be Chubbs falling over, and Eagle Gaming again winning another fight here. 140 remaining here on the clock. They don't have a lot of ultimates. They have no ultimates at that. Colsey with the Graviton, Naga to go ahead with the Rip Tire inside of it. I think this is going to be a tough fight for Eagle Gaming, but if they can secure this one, and with Flippy coming over on the Widow, we've seen this before. He's able to shut down a fight when they're low on ultimates. We'll have to see if he can pull it off again.
And with the help of PP on that Mercy, will look to get some damage boost going, but Marine Lord picks up a double kill off of that Bio Orb, and Naga pick up a double kill with the Reptire. Should secure this team fight as Piece of Cake looking on point, on fire to take King's Row with 1 minute left on that timer. 1 minute and 1 second there, I believe, too, at that.
I think there was just a little bit of time over that 1 minute mark, so that's good news for them. But as we do see sides flip, yep, 101. I thought it ticked down to 100, and I think it did flash there for a second, but I think they might have just rounded up, perhaps. But either way, we'll see sides switch, and an opportunity now for Eagle Gaming to make an attack of their own. We'll have to see if things work out better now and in their favor, but Flippy, this is a guy to look out for because, as the DPS player, we've seen Widowmaker from him. We've seen, Tracer to some degree. We've seen so many different things. I think we've even actually seen the Hanzo from him, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like he's going to be pulling one out here regardless of if we've seen it before or not. And I do like this combo. If you remember yesterday, CIS Hope actually pulled it out themselves. Kenzie was the one playing the Hanzo. But it was something that he didn't really get the shots off that he needed to start things off, and it kind of set them back, kind of ruined their pacing a little bit. And it looks like Flippy is deciding against that option, going to go maybe over to the Widowmaker instead. And I think I like that a little bit more, just because of the fact that Flippy is so good on the Widowmaker. He got denied, yeah, by Marine Lord, and we did see hype going down to that as well, as he was, I think, pocketing him in that particular situation. So denied this time, but I think Flippy has shown out enough to warrant being allowed to play some more Widowmaker here on the attack phase.
And it's gonna make things a little bit more difficult here for Dridro, especially now Poppy Fresh as well on that soldier, who would be, I would imagine, looking to set up on that high ground with Flippy potentially poking out. But that Widowmaker will look for those silence, will look for those picks, and with no Mercy inside, of course, on the defensive side, no Resurrects will be available to equalize that number disadvantage, but it will be Flippy on that Hanzo to start it out here.
So he's going to bring it out and look to have a better experience than what Kenzie had before. He's certainly taking some good angles and has some opportunities, but not finding anything just yet. Is still ahead of Kenzie and where he was. I think he was at 8% at this point in his ult charge. And they want to get that combo sorted. It's Get Amaze coming through on the Zarya with a huge energy pool. Already ahead of this Hanzo, just putting in the damage onto Chubbs. Super Fluke gets purple, but saved by Get Amaze there with the projected barrier.
As Leaf picks up a triple kill third one into this fight, and just like that, with that quad, it is going to be Eagle Gaming very, very fast. First point taken. A lot of resources building up for them as well. Chubbs winning slightly in that Reinhardt ult advantage battle, but overall looking very good here for Eagle Gaming, as Flippy even finds Naga there coming out of spawn, and that's not what you want if you're a piece of cake.
And they have great vision now because that Sonic Arrow just landed onto the shield of Chubbs, and they're going to be able to go forward. They already have good vision. They have good ability to kind of just take advantage of the situation that they're in, as they're just postured so aggressively here. They have a lot of ults kind of backing them up as well, and Puppy Fresh did make a swap over to the Widow. He's looking for an off angle right now on this pickup, but look for Leaf to try to deny him if they find him early on, and he's still kind of making his way around as he gets back up into this window behind the attacking team, and Leaf taking some early pressure. He's going to fall out early.
Oh, but it is going to be the Graviton to the Dragon Strike. However, no kills found. Dredro able to keep them alive. And Naga answers with 1 kill onto Flippy. And now with the counter Graviton with the Riptire, it's going to be clean up here for a piece of cake as they finally get a good defense started.
And I actually didn't get to see that. I wonder how they were able to stay alive. The Dragon Strike came through on the Graviton, but I mean, was it a miss? Or there's no way that they were able to sustain that. I just don't understand how that even how that even happened.
Barely touched Dredro. I'm not entirely sure.
Yike, man. Yike, yike, yike. You need that combo to work out. But Flippy now, he's going to be taking over what is usually Leaf's role of the Diva, but because the Junkrat is just so effective in this section of the map, he's going to instead be on the Diva himself, putting some pressure on the Puppy Fresh. Almost finds the kill, but it's going to be Leaf getting the first one on the board. That's on the Chubbs, taking down the Reinhardt. That's a big opening now for Superpluke, who just unleashes Earthshatter. Doesn't really find anything, but they're still securing kills off of it. Again, just because of that aggression that they can now show with Chubbs out of play and out of the field. They're going to be able to push this one forward, but we will see Chubbs being able to make it back more than likely. They should be able to contest this if they want to, but it does not look like that's going to be the case.
And with 5 minutes almost on that timer, we'll see Eagle Gaming looking very good here into this last phase of King's Row, but Countergraph could be coming out. Colsey looking for a potential angle, but doesn't get it. Unfortunate, as Leaf, I believe, was there with the mine, and we will still see them push the opposition away, but that is definitely not what you were looking for, as we'll still see the Riptide come out. Leaf somehow finding Marine Lord, but can the Riptide find the targets? No is the answer, as Flippy was lying in wait on the Diva. Now with another pick coming off for Eagle Gaming, just looking to turn this around, but Poppy Fresh answering with a double kill of his own will make things very difficult for them.
This is a big turnaround. We saw Flippy able to pull this off before, and I like this swap. You know, bringing the Widow into play, it provides a different kind of threat. It's a lot more dynamic on defense, especially in this stage of the map where there's a lot of different sightlines that you can take advantage of. And they're going to take Flippy out of the mech here. Infrasight available. Graviton coming down. Leaf just going to be pressuring Poppy out as he doesn't want to get over and caught in that grab. But now we will see Colsey trying to secure one of his own as Marine Lord trying to sustain everybody. Superpluke goes down, so no Earthshatter from them. Control obviously in favor of Piece of Cake here as they make a hold, waiting for Superpluke to get back up. Leaf is still sticking to this Junkrat here. They have the Nano Boost available. Last time we saw it go on to Chubbs, and great kiting. Great receding as well, pulling away from the fight from Eagle Gaming. They get caught in the graph here. Earthshatter available for Superpluke, but I can't imagine he wants to pull it out here. He goes down.
And will be a 2-for-1 as Hib answers with a kill of his own. Make that a second one. Hib maybe turn things around on that Moira with the Coalescence. Self-destruct is going to come through. Finds Poppy Fresh somehow and all of it. But Chubbs is still going to be looking for that Earthshatter. Isn't too successful with it, but being nano boosted will look to swing that hammer away. Still push the opposition potentially, as Naga will have that Riptide, but gets taken down by the Fire Strike. Superpluke looking for an angle, gets Colsey somehow, as we'll see Chubbs getting knocked around, but Marine Lord answers with a kill of his own with the Coalescence onto Leaf, and now with another one following it up. Poppy Fresh still finding another kill. They're gonna continue to hold for now.
There's still so much time on the clock though, and we've seen a lot of these martyrdom kills. Naga getting one onto a Mega. I mean, that just feels so bad to die off to a martyrdom kill from, you know, finishing off a Junkrat and then just dying after he's not even there anymore. But Leaf, though, on a Junkrat himself, looking to try to pull the Riptire out in this next fight just to get a little bit of something going for his team. You know, they have a lot of time to work with, but they have to start now. Puppy Fresh against Flippy. This is a Widowmaker match of the ages, as Hype just pulls out the Coalescence. Earthshatter comes out, doesn't find anything. Leak with that Riptire was able to take down Naga, and it's that matchup that we're looking at just for control of trying to take down the barriers as well. Get amazed on the objective right now. That's going to be the Graviton. Nobody is there to be able to help them as Hype pulls away. We see Chubbs just battering everybody down with that massive nano boost that came out. He took out both supports. Now an opportunity here for Naga as he's on the Genji, looking to try to turn things around with Puppy Fresh. They found 2 kills already. Flippy and Leaf are down. Naga looking for a heal, but Puppy Fresh should be able to help everybody else find these last kills. And again, back Eagle Gaming out of this fight.
And look at this. Colsty is good to go with the Graviton, and no Diva this time around on the side of Eagle Gaming to potentially catch that one out. And we'll see whether or not they can keep it up as Naga will look for an angle, contest the Widowmaker. Graviton is going to come through, catches a lot of people actually. Dashes come through, Chubbs picks up a kill, Leaf with a second martyrdom kill of the round, but it seems like it shouldn't matter as Super Plug, ooh, barely manages to stay there, but Hip will be the one to go down instead, and we might actually see Piece of Cake pull through, and with so many resources available for Eagle Gaming right now, we need to see them pull through right here as it's just 40 seconds on the clock.
Flippy with an Inversight available. He needs to win this matchup to create an opening for them. They see the Widowmaker early on. He gets a little bit of body shot and damage off, but needs to secure the kill, I think. Really needs to kind of create that opportunity for his Winston to get in there and get aggressive. They do see Flippy now as they're going to send the Genji over to him. That's deflect down. Leaf finds the opening, killing a Chubb. Big opening again. Super Fluke isn't on the Reinhardt though, so they're just going to look to try to counter dive, put some pressure onto Naga, who almost has his blade as well. They're going to bring all that damage and point it directly into Colsty's direction. They take him down, now looking for the Lucio. They'll find that, and it's a re-engage opportunity. Puppy Fresh with a lot of space, now denied by Super Fluke, trying to get around the other side. Chubbs is going to be denied as well. This is all Eagle Gaming. Can they do it here in overtime? Graviton comes down, Naga falls, Colsty's pulled into it as well, as he's going to lose his mech and get sent off the map, and now it needs to be contested here, likely by Dridro, and that's going to be him holding on for some time, but still in overtime. Eagle Gaming will do it, but remember, now they have to defend because it was just over a minute, so this is a big opportunity now for Piece of Cake to try to steal away this match here with a 33% take on their attack. So very fortunate situation for Piece of Cake, given the fact that they were just, you know, about a second and a half off of being in a situation where, you know, it was overtime for both sides, and we saw what Eagle Gaming was able to do in their last matchup with a similar situation.
And it's going to be a tough one here for Eagle Gaming, as that first point offensive push with the Pharah over on the side of Piece of Cake really made things very difficult for them. And as a result, I'm really curious to see whether or not they're going to make some swaps. As we see so far, nothing really coming out of Eagle Gaming different compared to their last defensive hold. So it will be a tough one, but maybe a slight adjustment in terms of their positioning could potentially help them out for a win instead. Whereas if you're a Piece of Cake, that first point attack was definitely favorable for you with the same composition. Wouldn't really necessarily expect to see them change anything around, and with only one tick needed on the board, it's gonna be tough for Eagle Gaming, to say the least.
Ah, man, this is gonna be a tough hold. Naga going over to the Pharah again. I think it's good now that Flippy has provided them with the McCree, because now they have that possible inherent answer to that. On top of that, they also have Hype on this Moira. I think that's going to help them kind of control the ground game right now, as Green Lord and Dridro are going to be kind of a different type of take for the support play, but they're getting down low. This is a huge opportunity. Naga can get aggressive here, look for these angles, as it's really just going to be Flippy trying to deny him, and he's still looking up at him, but they're going to be able to control the ground fight because of it. They're trying to look at him specifically. That's a big opening now. Remember, Dridro is on the Mercy, so This is super big to have any kind of pick for piece of cake. They get a huge advantage. Now getting aggressive again. He's going to deny. Oh, I thought he was going to get denied by the defense matrix, but he actually takes Flippy out with the Deadeye. And Dridro very close to having a Valk. Rainlord pulling out the Transcendence here, looking for control on the point. Naga coming back up. Will be able to get back from respawn as Chubbs trying to get that Earthshatter going. Just holding W. Getting off a Fire Strike. That's going to be the Earthshatter ready. He might just pull it out just to secure this.
And Colsty even having that Graviton now should be able to seal the deal, but no, Chubbs is going to be the one to clean it up. And Piece of Cake pulls out a win against Eagle Gaming to start things off here. Somewhat surprising, but another exceptional series on our hands here.
This is a great matchup, and Eagle Gaming stepping things up, I think is a huge deal right now because it just means that this playoff bracket is even more stacked than we originally anticipated. And I like to see that a team that barely made it into the playoffs now showing up against some of the best opposition that we have in this bracket. I can't wait for map 2, and that's going to be just in a couple minutes after these commercials, guys.
You know what, Brunch? I think I'm done with the predictions for this season, for this part, region at least. I didn't hit a single prediction correct. It seems that I curse the team every time I predict that they're going to win. On a serious note, Piece of Cake looked really great. That Naga cheeky move, escorting the payload, that was definitely great to see.
And look, okay, even before the tournament, I definitely thought, looking at this roster, looking at what they've done in the past and how things seems to shape up for them during the open division, I thought they will be one of the potential underdogs, potential unknowns that could definitely come out big. But to come in with such a huge win over Eagle Gaming right there at the end on King's Row, at this point, I mean, I don't even know who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, they were also a bit lucky to have 1 minute and 1 second on the clock, which basically allowed
Sometimes
them
lucky.
Yeah, to clinch the match. Now, coming up next is Horizon Lunar Colony. We've seen it quite a bit in the Overwatch pit so far. What do we expect to see here?
we've seen how strong Piece of Cake can really be on this map, just because of the simple fact that Naga can be enabled by those squad tank compositions coming in at the first point on that Junkrat. Again, he has been definitely one to be not to be reckoned with, and Poppy Fresh, of course, also on that Tracer, still stellar alongside the rest of his team. And if you're Eagle Gaming, I want to see some swaps in terms of their players. Just build a composition that can really storm the point and make sure they snowball it into that second point take as well when it comes to their offense.
Yeah, Naga was also looking good on Pharos, so to say, and I think he might use it in the following map. Now, quick predictions. Do you think this is gonna end up 2-0 as well?
I mean, is there any point in making predictions
Yeah,
anymore? But
that's true, but maybe your predictions will be more on point than mine.
I want to see who plays for Eagle Gaming, but if it's a better, well-rounded up roster for Horizon, we might see Piece of Cake barely winning out, or Eagle Gaming equalize it and then take it to a control map.
All right, let's see if that's going to happen. The match is ready. Let's go.
All right, starting things off here. I don't know what to expect. I mean, we see Nox in play, so on the attack, you have to imagine they're going to want to play dive. I mean, that's probably the look to expect, especially with Hardest in this roster as well. That's probably what to expect. But he's going to be playing Junkrat. Nox is going to be actually playing the Orisa, and this isn't the first time we've seen this from him, so it's not that big of a surprise. But now starting off, it's going to be this tank lineup, trying to make their way. Drijo taken down pretty low, but they speed their way on through, somehow surviving the fight and getting around onto the point. Now it's going to be a tough task as Hardest trying to deny them on this Junkrat.
We've seen a bunch of Sombra compositions as well come out on this first point now. We'll not see that be the case, as we'll see them collapse onto the point. Piece of Cake looking for an angle here. Just take control of this point. However, with the Reptile already being charged up for Hardest, it's going to look for a couple of kills. Doesn't find anything. However, Chubbs does get taken down by Nico, who cleans it up. We'll see whether or not he can keep it up, as it's a 6v5. An advantage of Eagle Gaming. One tick achieved already. The Pulse Bomb is going to find Dridro. And with the 6v4 up their sleeve, we might still see Eagle Gaming secure this one, but not on the point just yet. Nico's gonna try and contest them, make sure they don't get that second tick. And with those final few kills, Naga's gonna push them away, gets a call to Bod, and Poppy Fresh shielding him up. Can they still somehow do this, as he was be extremely close to that Graviton, and the answer seems to be yes. Even with Get Amaze coming back with the whole hog himself, they still get it.
So now they swap up their composition to the dive that we were talking about before. And I do like this because I do think it's a lot better. So now for them, I think Eagle Gaming is going to look a lot better here. There's going to be a lot better of a look on this particular type of composition, just countering and everything like that. Hardest going to be on this Junkrat. Probably actually might stay on this. Nico has the ability to flex between this Tracer, might be able to go over to a Genji if they decide that's something they want instead. If for some reason Poppy Fresh decides to go over to a Widow. But Nico going to be taken down very early now. Transcendence as well as the Valkyrie both ready, so they could turn this back around, but already the attacking team of Piece of Cake has a tick here, and they're looking to try to control the point.
And we'll see Hardest being brought back up. However, the Graviton now being used. It's going to look to clean up things here for this offensive side, as Colsey is going to be able to pick up a kill as well as the D2, but Nox answer with a 1 onto Poppy Fresh. We'll see the rest of the defensive side respawn and potentially still hold out strong. But with the nice hook coming onto bot, he will be taken down by Colsey, who gets a double kill. And now coming in with that Coalescent should keep the rest of his team safe, as well as dish out some pressure on the defensive side, but Airshare doesn't really find anything. However, Naga picks up a first kill, picks up a second kill with the whole hog. Can they keep it up? As Get Based answers with a kill of his own, but is it going to be enough, as he will be extremely low, gets desuited, pops that self-destruct just to create some space, and he does get one kill off as well as the desuit, and they might just hold out strong in the end, but Poppy Fresh still looking to be a menace.
I mean, a good hold by Eagle Gaming, without a doubt. But I think it was off the back of a very disappointing Earthshatter from Chubbs, and they're probably going to be swapping some things about a little bit, as we do see Bod also going over to an Ana that he's been on for a little bit now. Hard is going to be swapping to an Kree. I like this because Naga for a second there was looking like he might go over to a Pharah. Now they're just going to have a little bit of a McCree battle, still have a Tracer battle that I think looks good for Piece of Cake. I think this is a decent option for them to be able to take these kind of mirror matchups, but still going up against Nox on this Winston, this is going to be a tough one.
And the self-destruct is gonna be used, looking for any kills, doesn't find anything quite yet. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Nico's still looking to answer, gets Poppy Fresh in the end, makes it a 5v4. Naga though a bit out of position, somehow stays alive, barely with any HP to speak of, as he did get hit by that Bionade, and as a result, Bod is already good to go with a Nano boost. We'll be looking to see which the target is going to be for that one, but Hip, very nicely timed there to get a kill onto Naga and just delay things further for Piece of Cake, as they will have 3 minutes and 48 seconds on the board, and as a result, Naga will make the swap over to that Genji.
So another change, another adjustment. You have to imagine that off this, with both of these support ults, with the Transcendence not ready for hype, they're going to want to get aggressive with this Genji change. They do get purpled as they dive in, so an opportunity now to deal with Naga as he goes pretty low here. It's going to be the Nano Boost onto Nox. They're trying to come back into this one hardest with a Deadeye. Will eliminate Marine Lord. Both support ults are gone now, and Eagle Gaming looking to clean again. 3 minutes on the clock. It looks like Control was going there for a moment as Colsey was still there, but he gets killed off as well. As I was saying, just 3 minutes now remaining for Piece of Cake, who started off with a fantastic amount of time, now been reduced to what is about 5 more opportunities, I'd say. Maybe
full dive comp now rounding up for the most part for Eagle Gaming, as we'll see Nico go back to that Genji. Naga making the swap over to the Widow will be potentially contested by him, but Nico already dropping down really low will be forced to disengage, as Naga's going to be able to find the first kill of the fight, taking down Bod, and without Bod in this team fight, Tisud will make things very difficult in terms of staying power. However, the self-destruct is going to delay things for a little bit. Pip now coming back into the fight with the Transcendence. We'll be looking to keep the rest of his team safe, but Chubbs finding hardest there is going to be potentially huge, but Nox gets the best out of Marine Lord. Bot picks up another kill from downtown with a Bionade of his own. And as a result, eventually it should be Eagle Gaming continuing to hold in. Only 62% built up on that point.
This is why I think the counter dive is so good for Eagle Gaming when they're using these players, when they have this lineup in particular. I mean, it's just so difficult. Piece of Cake is really struggling to try to keep their supports alive. Every time they go in, Marine Lord and Dridro are just left behind and completely vulnerable to everything. Whereas, if they go on the offensive, if they attack, try to dive in aggressively, guys like Bod can just go right back, hype as well, can go right back into their spawn where they're incredibly safe and there's no potential to be killed off. What a great sleep dart. I think Hype got the kill, but it was Bod with a sleep dart to help secure that kill onto Poppy Fresh. Naga trying to turn things around though, getting an opening pick. They have 2 to start with. Now trying to get some momentum off of that.
But these early sound barriers coming out of the side of Piece of Cake have been leaving a bit of thought whether or not if it is a good choice here coming out of Deirdre, but it seems like it doesn't matter as Naga picks up a kill onto Nico as he pulls out the blade, a huge one at that, and maybe, just maybe, with these follow-up kills, they might just take the point. We'll see one last-ditch effort coming out of Zenyatta there from Hip, but will not be able to hold out strong in the end, and Piece of Cake somehow find their way onto this point, and Nox unable to really delay things further, means that we'll see Piece of Cake taking it with 45 seconds left on that timer.
Those supports, again, kind of left to their own devices. Luckily for them, they had those ults, and I think it was really kind of Marine Lord in particular that was under duress on that one, particularly to Nox. But because of the fact that he had the Transcendence, he stayed alive, he pulled it out. Yeah, it was a little early, but it secured his own life and allowed him to keep that momentum pushing. And once they had secured that, it was just a matter of time. And the time therein would be 45 seconds. Now, as they defend, certainly not feeling very good about their attack, they have to start thinking about how they want to commit to this. Because when you look at this matchup, when you look at this lineup, like I said before, the initial thought, the initial, I guess, speculation that you could make is that they're likely to go with a dive style. I mean, it is something that you can see a lot of teams doing on this particular point, but it's not necessarily always the best, especially when teams prefer anti-dive strats, which is, interestingly enough, exactly what Piece of Cake is pulling out. And you have to think, do they like this just as an all-around versatile comp, or do you think they actually think and are going to set up and be prepared for a dive that isn't looking like it's going to come their way at all? Eagle Gaming is lined up with a tank composition, likely trying to go around the left side instead. So, I mean, Piece of Cake did the exact same thing. We saw Nox before, and the rest of these gaming guys set up with that same exact defensive composition. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a change up to see Nox on the Reinhardt with the rest of these guys pulling out a tank composition. I think that's going to maybe throw them for a loop a little bit.
And get amazed now on the Diva, Nico on the Zarya, swapping those roles a little bit around. It's a little bit curious to me, but we'll see whether or not it's going to pay off, as Hip already finding himself the target of some of those grenades coming out of Naga. Will look to dish out quite a bit of damage, charging up that ultimate as fast as possible, keep things in their favor. As we'll see the rest of Eagle Gaming push through underneath them. We'll be getting on top of that point. Already one tick achieved, so Poppy Fresh will look to contest for now. However, will make things still a little bit difficult, as it is a 1-for-1 trade. Nico finds Naga there and makes it a 5v5. We'll be curious to see whether or not Kolsty can still hold with the rest of his team as they get pushed out of the point. And it's very close overall.
A little bit more control. Remember, Kolsty is going to be the off-tank player usually for this roster, but I think they feel like he's the more proficient. Orisa coming in as a sub. Kolsty going to fall there, and this is the moment now where Eagle Gaming becomes insurmountable, and that's going to be a clean wipe up from Eagle Gaming. They're going to have a lot of time to work with here, about 7 minutes, just under that, for their attack. They held well defensively. Now here on Horizon Lunar Colony, we'll have to try to see if they can make this Graviton work in their favor to try to secure this early on and create an easy advantage, a significant advantage rather, for taking this map.
The Riptide is going to come out and will push the opposition away for now, as it will get taken down as well. Hardest managing to find that one, and now is the time to strike. It's all about Eagle Gaming. Can they keep it up? Can they keep the snowball rolling, as they have that sound barrier on top of the Graviton? And with Hardest getting Poppy Fresh, you would think so. Sound barrier being popped already, however. Nano Boost on top of Chubbs, looking to do a lot of damage and survive on top of this point. Graviton, though, coming in, and a little bit early use of that Transcend is going to make things easy for Get Amazed to pick up a triple kill. And this is a very fast second point take, potentially, for Eagle Gaming.
They're going to come back through, and they are making swaps. We'll have to see if Chubbs can try to stay alive long enough just to get his Primal Rage up. That might extend the fight just a little bit longer, but they need to find picks early on. Primal Rage will be ready for Chubbs. He's going to be forced to push. He's going to knock everybody around. They're going to get control. They're going to allow themselves to get some respawns here. As Piece of Cake surging back into this fight, they already allowed 2 ticks, almost allowed a third here, but it looks like they might be able to pull this one off. That Primal Rage just perfectly timed from Chubbs as they made that adjustment. They're going to kill off Hype quite late there as Chubbs went forward. He's going to get helped out. It doesn't look like we'll be seeing Hardest find that kill as Poppy Fresh shut him down as well. So now adjustments being made, but 5 minutes on the clock that you have to try to defend for. And I just, I would be a little afraid right now if I was Piece of Cake.
And some further swaps coming out of the side of Eagle Gaming, as Hardest will be looking to pick up that McCree. Nico back onto the Tracer, and would like to see Hardest just set up on top of that high ground with the likes of Hip on that Zenyatta. Did make that swap over as well. And we'll see over from the defensive side. Naga looking to contest on that Genji, potentially on top of the high ground. But Kolsty is going to be the first one to get desuited here. And with Nox picking up a kill, this is not looking good for Piece of Cake, especially with the Coalescence coming out of bot, looking out to clean up house. Nobody on the point. And Eagle Gaming looking definitely poised now to pick up a win on Horizon to equalize the series 1-1.
I'll have to see if they can get it done here, as now Piece of Cake is going to be on the attack to see if they can secure this, and maybe off of momentum, some kind of miraculous push onto point B, they might be able to secure both. I mean, that's going to be a tough one to get. It's just going to be, not a lot of time. Teams haven't been really that good about walking right into point, securing it right off the bat, but if they can get even a tick on that second objective. They have a pretty good shot at being able to take this one away, but I would say this is pretty much all but done and settled by Eagle Gaming so far. They've just played so well. They had such a good point B defense, and then attacking onto point B as well. That initial push that they'd had, like, secured them 2 ticks, really set them up in a big way, I would say. And it's just that counter dive setup that they have with Nox. I mean, they just know how to peel efficiently for their teammates, and that really kind of comes down to just having your Winston player with a year and a half of top-level competitive experience doing exactly that. That just kind of sets that up.
Somewhat of a death volley composition coming out of the side of Piece of Cake, looking to get an advantage potentially coming into this one. No Farah, even though he did, or rather was debating whether or not he should go for that pick. Could have potentially just pushed the opposition around from that high ground potential advantage, but now looking to contest. They will get that bear. Already destroyed Marine Lord, the first one to go down hardest with the first kill, and Nox to follow it up with another one. Is already gonna just destroy this push coming out of Piece of Cake, and with 30 seconds remaining, things are not gonna be looking good for them.
You have to wonder what their thought process was on that. Let's go ahead, let's go up on high ground against a composition that's notorious for being strong at fighting on high ground like that. And especially in a choke environment where Hardest can just pop off. That's the exact opposite of what they wanted to do here. Riptire coming out. This will easily find a kill. Poppy Fresh goes down. This is a great start now for a defensive hold. This is going to be the last fight. They have to keep someone on the point rather, as Naga falls. Colsty's still not in mech, but very close to getting back into it here. Chubb's trying to go off with the hammer, but because he doesn't have that spacing, he's going to go ahead with the Earth Shatter. That's a cleanup. Poppy Fresh not going to be able to get there. He's not even going to attempt it. Transcendence is up as well. They'll make the full hold and now have just under 5 minutes to get 1 tick on point A. I'll say it again. I think this is settled.
We've seen crazy things happen throughout the tournament, but man, 5 minutes and not even a tick. It's just going to be absolutely amazing to see whether or not Piece of Cake can come up with any potential strategy here to get a draw on this map. But if you're a Piece of Cake, really looking forward to that control point at this, or rather control map at this point over on Nepal. Okay, let's keep our composure, let's try our best here and look forward to at the very least secure things through Nepal, as you said, with 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, I just can't see what they can really pick in terms of their hero pulls to really make that happen. And now looking early and what they're bringing out, it seems like it's going to be some sort of a counter dive strat, some sort of dive composition running up somewhat for them, but it's going to be really tough, to say the least.
So with the counter dive, this will be interesting because they're going to be playing up against a tank comp. So playing something that they might be a little bit more comfortable with, and maybe this is the pitfall of having someone sub in that doesn't necessarily know all your strats. I don't really think that's the case. I think Colsty is just, a good enough player that shouldn't be that big of a deal. It shouldn't make this much of a difference. But I don't know if I like this composition to start things out. To make a hold for 4.5 minutes like this, they're gonna certainly take advantage of the high ground control that they have, but they have to hold for so long and they have to poke and prod from so many of these different angles, but they can't take control. If they go onto the point to fight, it's certainly going to go the way of the attack. Eagle Gaming will have all the advantage in the world, so they're just going to walk straight onto the objective. Nico doesn't die just yet, but they find the kill.
That was a good Bionade coming on top of those tanks, and as a result makes it a 6v5, but the answer comes out. It is going to be equalized. 5v5 bot finding a return kill there, but another good Bionade is going to shut down Nox, looking to get Amaze desuited, but we'll see. Piece of Cake somehow holding out for now and building up quite a few ultimates at that.
Ana is definitely the answer here. I mean, especially against a tank composition, this is exactly the type of character you want to pull out because it's going to be able to deny that healing and allow you to start ripping these tanks apart. You have a lot more damage now to be able to execute on with that counter dive setup, so they're going to try to use that to their advantage. But if we see any kind of change up where Eagle Gaming decides, hey, let's go ahead and let's dive instead of doing this tank comp, it's going to be tough for them to keep Dredro and Marine Lord alive.
Speaking of dive, Naga now going in with the blaze, gonna be able to pick up a
Wow.
double kill. Marine Lord picks up 2 himself on that Zenyatta, and just like that, Piece of Cake continued to hold on strong and even get a staggered kill onto Get Amazed. Whew, that's definitely really impressive considering the fact that we're pretty disciplined when it comes to not only the staggered kills, but the ultimate usages as well. Committing the blade, Primal Rage on top with the nano boost, but still having the Transcendence, still has the self-destruct from Colsty, and Poppy Fresh should be able to build up that pulse bomb as well.
So now 240 remaining. They're going to get their ultimates up, and we'll have to see if they can make a stop. Once we see Eagle Gaming scoring up these ultimates and start throwing them out, if Eagle Gaming is stopped there, definitely expect them to switch over to the dive composition. Nico starting things off nicely with a kill onto Naga as he could not get away from the Zarya beam. They're getting onto the point. Self-destruct is out. It's going to be denied by the shielding. Sound Barrier out as well. They're throwing everybody off the objective. Earthshatter is ready now for Nox. He might not need it, but if he does, he will be able to shut this Ana down. He finds the kill. It's going to be Eagle Gaming taking this second game and sending us into a map number 3.
And it's nice to see some more control maps being played, as so far tonight it's been 2 O's for the first 2 games, and now coming into this series, it's been a little bit closer than we would expect, and Get Amazed pulling out the play of the game. But we'll be right back with Nepal to close things out here. Don't go anywhere after these commercial breaks.
Welcome back, everybody. It seems that we are not going to have 2-0 whole day. It's 1-1, and we will have a third map being played. I was impressed by Eagle Gaming in this matchup. They looked way better than Piece of Cake. They kind of snowballed off first point since Naga got picked off, and he was the key player to stop the quad tank. And it didn't really work out in their favor later on.
But to be fair, it was really awesome to watch the counter dive come out from Piece of Cake to really make things a little bit more difficult for Eagle Gaming maybe than they would have expected. And now that we're going to be going in for that third map, first control map of the night, it is going to be Nepal. And oh man, at this point, I don't even know who to call out who's going to win it all. And the winner between these two is going to go forward and face off against those guys. So at this point, tough opposition and close one to call.
Yeah, it's better for me not to say anything. I think that it's going to be a great match nonetheless. I do expect to see a lot of fair action on this map.
Could come out. It is Nepal, and as a result, we'll see a lot of Reinhardt. I would expect potentially Super Plug back on the lineup for Eagle Gaming as a result. Whereas, of course, we've already seen in the past plenty of Reinhardt over from the side of Piece of Cake, and it might just come down to that Reinhardt v Reinhardt battle again.
Yeah, he was playing great on Reinhardt. The Nepal is ready. Let's see who's going to make it to the upper bracket finals.
Well, here's another opportunity now. Naga is going to be on this Pharah, and Super Paluk kind of giving away what they want to play. He's going to go instead actually over to the Junkrat. I still think I would have liked to see the Pharah. It's just really safe. I mean, they might have thought that Hardest might bring a hit scan. Because that's certainly always an option. But they're going to get right to the point. Both sides now getting contested as Naga on this Junkrat is looking to apply the pressure and needs to in a big way to secure this for Piece of Cake.
Especially since already on the point, it will be all about Eagle Gaming. Super Plug already charging up that ultimate at 41%. Chubb's looking to answer with quite a bit of charge of his own as we'll see the point unlock. We're going to be, it looks like Eagle Gaming is taking an advantage and they will go ahead and get the first cap as Naga is able to find the D-suit onto Nico. However, the hook is not going to secure any kills. Poppy first is going to go down, however. Sound barrier was available for Eagle Gaming, and with the Earth Shatter not really finding too much work, it is going to be Piece of Cake potentially swapping the point in their favor.
This is a good way to start the battle, though, between Eagle Gaming and Piece of Cake, because Eagle Gaming, while they never really looked like they were going to take this fight, they started it off, they got control by just being on the objective first, and Eagle Gaming now looked like they were going to be able to turn things around, but they were able to pull out even more from Piece of Cake just to force them to try to hold on to this, and still surging back onto the point. They're just funneling in, and it seems like in just a matter of moments here, it will finally flip back over as people goes down. That will be it, but 42% on the board for Eagle Gaming, despite always losing in that fight. I mean, I would probably say about 95% of that fight they were losing and still were able to get 42% on the board for themselves. Excellent display from Eagle Gaming.
Now going into this next team fight, both Gravitons are available. The Big Bang as a combo option here potentially for the side of Piece of Cake as they're gonna look for an angle. It will be, however, all about that Junkrat alongside Poppy Fresh able to secure those kills. I don't know if the pulse bomb got eaten up by Nico. However, it seems like it does not matter. It's still going to be another beautiful stagger coming out of Piece of Cake as Nico will finally find sweet release in that particular death. And now looking to turn things around with 42% built up for Piece of Cake as well. Get Amazed will still have that Graviton. So could potentially come down to whether or not Chubbs can display Super Pluke and get a good Earth Shatter off.
They might want to nano boost Super Pluke up too, so that he can get a little bit more cleave damage off in this fight, and then allow him to get the Earth Shatter. But what a way to engage! Chubbs through the backside with a massive Earth Shatter. They secure the kill into Super Pluke, deny that ult charge, then give it over to Get Amazed. They're looking for pins now. Chubbs looking like he's going to fall, but a lot of healing coming out of the Moira as he's backed into the corner now. They surely will solidify this kill, but somehow sneaks away, especially with the backup of Naga and Kolsti in the fray as well. They secure the Rip Tire for the next one, and they are looking dominant. I mean, they've been winning out every single fight. The only reason that 42% is even on the board was because early on, Eagle Gaming just had so much control on the objective.
And some swaps coming out of this Eagle Gaming lineup. Hardest now on the Pharah, Nico on the Tracer will look to split that attention and get a few picks potentially here, but it's going to be Poppy Fresh getting the first pick because 6v5 Riptide coming out, finds Hardest in disguise, and with the Graviton Surge coming out, it's going to be Piece of Cake cleaning it up and picking out that first map win here on Village.
And I would have liked to have seen this Pharah a little bit earlier. And I mean, we haven't seen much of Hardest Pharah so far, so I'm curious to see if it's going to be something that he's strong with. But Naga with the Junkrat was able to just do so much in that matchup, and they never really gave any kind of opportunity to deny him. Now he's going to be swapping over to the Genji. We're going to see Hardest instead of the Soldier that we saw him on pretty much every single time that Eagle Gaming has played on a map like this, and we've seen Soldier almost every time that we've seen anybody on this map. He instead will be on the Junkrat. Naga is going to be eyeing that, mirroring it as well. And we'll have to see. I think Kolsi's probably going to be on the Diva. Oh, and it looks like the Zarya instead. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially considering the Reinhardt here. But now we'll see almost mirror compositions, but a 3-tank with Nico off of the Tracer and onto the Diva instead.
We'll see if Bobby Fresh alongside Naga still managed to find the damage to get a win here, as it will be once again all about Eagle Gaming on the point to start things off here. It's gonna be the first kill going over to the blue hand side Junkrat. We'll see Piece of Cake opening it up with already 1 kill on the board, looking for more. The kill coming out of Bobby Fresh is gonna be good, especially with another one onto Pipu. No support lineup here for Eagle Gaming has, oh my word, Piece of Cake once again opening up huge on Nepal.
So they, I don't think, have lost a single team fight so far. They have won, if I'm not mistaken, with that fight 5, I think, in a row now on this map of Nepal. It might be 4, but either way, coming away from this one, Chubb's looking to try to slam down the hammer again as Naga finds the opening kill in the hype. They're going to be pulling back here, and that's going to allow for some aggression from the team who has all the control. And they're going to be able to secure the point for themselves. They're already up at 30%, and Super Pluke falls again. They will have the Earth Shatter for the next fight more than likely, as he'll probably be able to get a Fire Strike in there, as there's no Diva to block it off of the defense matrix. But we'll have to see if they do wind up getting in there. Get Amazed will probably have a Graviton as well, but it's going to be battling against what is essentially the same thing on the other side. Kolsi doesn't have a Graviton, but they might not even need it. Riptide coming out,
Poppy Fresh, though, looking up for the side. Will be spotted out by Nico. It is a 1-for-1. However, Super Play going down. It's pretty big here for this lineup of Eagle Gaming. Missing a little bit of that front line is going to make things difficult for them to hold on to this. But Chubbs is going to be the one to go down, get amazed. Using that Graviton is good. Potentially be the first team fight win here for Eagle Gaming, as they will look to turn things around. Hardest picks up another kill, and with a big one at that. Could be what Eagle Gaming needed to finally get something done here on Nepal.
I think this is an opportunity, though, for a Piece of Cake. They're looking to try to sustain on this for just a little bit longer. I don't think they got what they wanted out of it. They really would have liked to have seen it up around 85, 86, just to make sure that if they take a pretty easy team fight, especially off the back of what is going to be a Graviton Pulse Bomb more than likely, that they're going to be able to secure it there, just hold it aggressively. But they can't do that now. Now they have to fight twice, and we see the Deadeye coming out to start things off, and Naga falls very early on. The Graviton dropped in. It catches a lot of them. They go right through. Poppy Fresh drops the Pulse Bomb. Does find Pipo, but they're still looking for more.
And the Earth Shatter is going to come out of Super Pluke. Drops down Dridra on the ground, but overall Hardest coming in over to the side is going to be able to clean up house on them McCree, and just like that, it will still hold on strong to this point, even though Hip will be going down in the end. It doesn't quite matter. But as I say that, though, Poppy Fresh coming back from spawn will look to continue to turn things around. Maybe I spoke too soon, as Piece of Cake now coming back from spawn is going to look to contest this point, get an advantage. Riptide is ready to roll, but it seems like he doesn't even need it. First kill onto Pipu, second one onto Super Pluke. Now we'll see Get Amaze try to go onto the point, delay things as further as possible, but it is going to be Piece of Cake somehow still recovering and getting that point back in their favor.
And Chubbs, I think, is going to want to go forward here, try to get a good angle to protect his team so that Naga can pull out that Riptire and try to find something there, and then maybe see if they can just reduce that barrier down. If they can put some pressure onto Super Pluke's barrier, even use the Riptire to do that, that'll create an opening there for Super Pluke to go down to an Earth Shatter.
And with the first member of Eagle Gaming falling down already, it's going to make things very difficult. Naga picks up a second kill. Dridro now onto Hype, and it's all about Piece of Cake as Super Fluke, the only member to find a single kill in that team fight. It's not going to matter. He's going to go down, and it is going to be Piece of Cake with somewhat of an upset win over Eagle Gaming in a sense, coming out on top and facing off against those guys in the coming future.
But here's a team to look out for. If there's any team to look out for in this event going through the lower bracket, I would say Eagle Gaming is the one to look out for. They're going to be playing up against the winner of Dose vs Hope in the losers round. But I think this is one to keep an eye on. They have looked better and better as time has gone on. But as that comes to a close, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say on the analyst desk.
A quick map win by Piece of Cake. They looked very dominant in this one, and they also seem to work really well with Colsey, I'd say.
It seems like it's more of a plug-and-play situation where